Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Venia Restelva Denistiara, and I will be serving as your moderator for this session. It is a great honor to welcome you all to the International Conference on Interdisciplinary for Sustainable Development, Interdis 2025, organized by APTISI, Commissariat 6B, in collaboration with Universitas Informatika and Business Indonesia, UNIBI. We truly appreciate your presence today and hope this session will be insightful and engaging for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I would like to briefly introduce our distinguished speaker for this session. It is my honor to introduce the distinguished presenter from Universitas Informatika and Business Indonesia, UNIBI. So the first presenter is Delia Arofah from Akuntansi UNIBI, presenting impact of capital intensity and sales growth on the state of financial distress. And second presenters, it will be Anissa Nurmayani from Akuntansi UNIBI. The title is The Influence of Operational Complexity, Audit Fees, and Earning Management on Audit Report Alike with Firm Size as a Moderating Variable. The third presenters will be Siti Nurpaidah Subarna from Management Unibi, presenting the influence of operating capacity, sales growth, and operating cash flow on financial distress. And next, we have Nurul Ba'ashiroh Permata Hati from Management Unibi, presenting growth strategy to improve competitive advantage of CV Alpha Multi Kreasi. And next presenter is Hardiani Nursuci Octaviani from DKV Unibi, presenting designing motion graphic and ebook to introduce the folktale in Sikabayan Mulu Uncal to children aged 8 to 12 years old in Bandung City. And we have the last one is Permata Sidik from Informatika Unibi. The title, Web-Based Visual Store Point of Sales Information System Case Study, Niaga Karya Kreatif. Before the presentation begin, I kindly remind all the participants to maintain order and keep microphones mute during the presentation. And I kindly request all attendants to turn on cameras. To start our session, we will appreciate it if all attendants could turn on their cameras. Thank you. Turn on the cameras. Okay. Without further ado, I'm pleased to invite the first presenter, Delia Arufah, to present their topic title Impact of Capital Intensity and Sales Growth on the State of Financial Distress. The presentation will last approximately 10 minutes, followed by a Q&A session. So, please, the operator, play the video recording.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Respected ladies and gentlemen, honored community member, and all participants who and respect. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Delia Rofa, a student of the Faculty of Economic and Business Accounting Department 2021. Today, I am honored to present the result of my research entitled Impact of Capital Intensity and Sales Growth on the Stage of Financial Distress. An empirical study on mining sector company listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange during the 2019 to 2023 period. In this presentation, I will discuss my research through the following outline: research phenomena, problem formulation, literature review, research methodology, research finding, and conclusion. Financial distress has become a growing concern across various economic sectors in recent years. Different industries have expressed unique challenges that have contributed to their financial instability. In the mining sector, financial distress has been triggered by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the high volatility of global commodity price. These conditions have affect revenue stream and disrupt production activity. The financial sector has also suffered primarily due to the rise in non-performing loans, which have weakened the financial health of many institutions. In the manufacturing sector, declining production demand and when-pending layoffs have caused serious financial difficulty. On one notable case is PT Sri Rezeki Isman Tbk, which was one the largest textile manufacturer in Indonesia. The company declared bankruptcy and laid off approximately 10,000 employees, highlighting the safety of the financial distress impact. Meanwhile, the retail sector has been hit hard by shifting customer behavior as more customers turn to online shopping. Many bricks and mortar stores have been forced to shut down due to declining foot traffic and sales. This illustration illustrates how financial distress is not limited to a specific industry, but is a widespread issue influenced by both internal company factor and external economic condition. As on the case on condition I mentioned earlier, I become increased interest study in issue of financial distress. More deeply, financial distress not only reflects a company internal weakness but also serves as an early warning signal from investor, creditor, and other stakeholders about sustainability of a business. To support this interest and excitement, data on company delisted from the Indonesia Stock Exchange between 2019 to 2023. Delisting often occurred due to financial difficulties that lead a company to fail in fulfilling its obligation and public company. Based on the data I'm reviewed, the number of mining companies that with this delisting from the Indonesia Stock Exchange during the 2019 to 2023 period was 25% higher compared to other sector. They indicate that the mining sector has a relatively higher level of financial vulnerability than of other industry. The listing rate may be caused by unstable cash flow, has reliance on capital-intensive operation, and sensitivity to commodity price fluctuation. The citing perfect different further support the refine of analyzing financial distress specifically in the mining sector, has it consistently shown signs of higher financial instability. In addition to financial distress case, I'm also Excel data of Indonesia gross domestic product, so GDP, by industry sector. Based on the most recent figure, the manufacturing sector contributes the higher share to national GDP at 13.79%, followed very closely by the mining sector with contribution 13.77%. This shows that both sectors play a major role in supporting the nationality company. However, when review this listing trend, I found the manufacturing sector displayed in dominant contribution to GDP did not expression any delisting case during the 2019 to 2023 period. On the other hand, the mining sector with a similar large contribution to GDP record a relatively high number of delisted companies. This contradiction between economic contribution and financial stability made me even more interested in explore financial distress with the mining sector. In the chart present here, we can also observe the performance of the mining sector represented by the yellow color, which show a consistent upward trend over the years. Despite this, the sector still face significant risks that can affect its long-term sustainability, making it relevant subject for further study. Given the situation, I'm particularly interested in taking a closer look at the mining sector, especially as relationship to financial distress, as where see early the sector contributes signaling to national economic growth, yet it also faces serious challenge in maintaining its financial stability and long-term sustainability. Therefore, the main purpose of this research is analyzing the factors that are present to influence the occurrence of financial distress in mining companies. Specifically, this study focused on two key variables. One, capital intensity, which reflect how much a company relies on fixed asset in its operation. Two, sales growth, which indicate a company ability to increase its revenue over time. By analyzing these two variables, I'm to better understand their relationship with financial distress in the mining sector during the 2019 to 2023 period. Based on the background and initial data observation, the following research question or formula one to watch is the company capital intensity affect the financial distress condition of mining company list on the Indonesian Stock Exchange during the 2019 to 2023 period. To what extent do sales growth affect the financial distress condition of mining company list on the Indonesia Stock Exchange during the 2019 to 2023 period? 3. To what extent do capital intensity and sales growth simultaneously influence the financial distress condition of mining company listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange during the 2019 to 2023 period. The research is based on signaling theory as in grain theory. Signaling theory states the company can convert signal to use of financial information through various forms of disclosure, including financial statement. The signal reflects how many present the company future profit. If the information indicates a favorable outlook in is considered a positive signal. Conversely, in the information reflects risk of poor performance in is regret and a negative signal. The population in this study consists of 49 mining sector company listed on the Indonesia Stock Exchange. During the 2019 to 2030 period, the sample was selected using a purpose sampling technique based on specific criteria to ensure data relevance and completeness. From this process, 16 companies were chosen that met all the requirements. Since the study covered a period of 5 years, the total sample size amounted to 80 observations. The sample size allows for a comprehensive analysis of the impact of capital intensity and sales growth on financial distress in mining sector company during the study period. Based on the data present in the table, several key findings emerged regarding the impact of capital intensity and sales growth on financial distress in mining companies. In conclusion, this study has found one, capital intensity has a particularly significant effect on the financial distress condition. Two, sales growth does not have a particularly significant effect on the financial distress condition. Three, capital intensity and sales growth affect on the financial distress condition. This conclusion my presentation. Thank you for your attention and time. I hope this presentation have provided valuable insight into the factor influencing financial distress in the mining sector. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Delia Arafah, for such an informative and comprehensive presentation. Now we are moved to our questions. So the question is, why is financial distress an important issue to study? Okay, please answer that question.
Thank you. Financial distress is important to study because it serves as an early warning signal for investor, creditor, and stakeholders. It not only reflects a company internal weakness but also indicates the sustainability of its business operation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for answering the question. That's a very excellent uh, research. Thank you very much. Such informative and comprehensive presentation and research. Thank you for the answers too. Now our second our second presenter is Anissa Nurmayani. So the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Anissa Nomayani. I will present the result of my research on the influence of operational complexity, audit fee, and earning management on audit report with firm size as a moderating variable. Background research, the growth in the number of investors in the Indonesian capital market reflects the increasing public interest in investing. In 2021, the number of capital market investors in Indonesia rose by nearly 7 times compared to 2017. However, the delay in submitting audit financial statement continue to increase each year. The number of companies that were late at submitting their financial report in 2021 rose by nearly 9 times compared to 2017. This shows that despite the positive growth in investor, many companies still neglect their obligation to submit a financial report to the public in the timely manner. Conceptual framework begin with there is a delay in submitting audit financial report to companies listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange, and grand theory, compliance theory, and signaling theory. Research methodology, type and sort of data. The data used is secondary data obtained from the annual audit financial statement of consumer cyclicals company for the period 2017 to 2021. Population example, the population include all consumer cyclicals company, and sampling was conducted using purposive sampling. The final sample consists of 19 financial reports from select company over 5 years. Data analysis method, classical assumption test, moderate regression analysis, coefficient of determination, and hypothesis testing. Result and discussion, the influence of operational complexity on audit report length. The result of this study indicates that the variable operational complexity has a negative effect on the audit report length, meaning that the higher the operational complexity, the lower in the audit report length. The influence of audit fee on audit report length. The results of this study show that the audit fee variable has a negative effect on audit report length, meaning that the higher the audit fee, the lower the audit report length. The influence of earning management on audit report length, the results of this study indicate that the earning management variable has no effect on audit report length. This shows that even if a company intentionally engages in earning management, either by increasing or decreasing its profit, it will not impact the length of the audit financial report submission process. From size moderate the effect of operational complexity on audit report length. The result of this study indicate that the company size variable negatively strengthen the effect of operational complexity on audit report length. From size moderate the effect of audit fee and audit report length. The result of this study showed that the company size variable negatively strengthened the effect of audit fee on audit report length. This means that the larger the company size, the higher the audit fee, and the lower the audit report length. From size moderate the effect of earning management on audit report length. The research of the study indicates that the variable company size is unable to moderate earning management effect on audit report. Like the size of company earning management practice does not affect the timing of audit financial report submission, as independent auditor can quickly detect fraud in a company during an initial audit process of its financial statement. Conclusion: when operational complexity has a significant negative effect on audit report rate, audit fee have a significant negative effect on audit report rate. Earning management has no significant effect on audit report rate. From size negatively moderate the effect of operational complexity. From size negatively moderate the effect of audit fee. From size does not moderate the effect of earning management. Operational complexity, audit fee, and earning management jointly influence audit report rate positively. And that's all. I apologize if there are any mistakes, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Anissa Nurmayadi. That was indeed very comprehensive presentation. So the title is The Influence of Operational Complexity, Audit Fees, and Earning Management on Audit Report, like with firm size as a moderating variable. So next, we are moved to Q&A session. So the question is, why do you use firm size as a moderating variable? So please answer.
Okay. With your permission, I would like to answer. Firm size is charged because large companies usually have better internal control system, more research, and a high level of transparency compared to small firms. Therefore, firm size can strengthen or weaken the relationship, operational complexity, fee audit, and earning management and audit report like. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Anissa Nurmayani, for both the presentation and your insightful answer. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us now continue with our third person presenter. I am delighted to invite Siti Nurparida Subarna to take the stage. Please go ahead.
Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Siti Nurparida Subarna. Allow me to present my research entitled The Influence of Operating Capacity, Sales Growth, and Operating Cash Flow on Financial Distress, study on state-owned enterprise listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange for the period 2019 to 2023. Alright, let's move directly to the first discussion. The dependent variable in this research is financial distress. In this study, I used the Altman Z-score to measure financial distress with the following criteria. If Z-score more than 2.6, the company is in the safe zone. 1.1 less than Z-score less than 2.6, the company is in the gray zone. If a Z-score less than 1.1, the company is in the distress zone and is highly likely to face bankruptcy. From the chart, we can see that in 2019, 2021, and 2022, most state-owned enterprises were in the gray zone. In 2020 and 2023, the score dropped below 1.1, meaning they were in the distress zone. This was mainly caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, delayed payment from government projects, and increasing debt burdens. In addition, issues like weak governance and corruption case further damage investor trust in state-owned enterprise. The first independent variable is operating capacity. A higher ratio means better asset efficiency. However, the trend is declining, showing that state-owned enterprises are not yet efficient in using their assets. This is due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which delayed many infrastructure projects, especially for Wijaya Karya, Adihikarya, and PT-PP. Next, X2 in this study is sales growth. If we look at the sales growth graph, the overall trend line show an upward direction, which indicates that there is long-term potential for sales growth. However, when we examine the data on a year-to-year basis, the fluctuations are quite sharp, suggesting that sales growth has not been stable. This instability is caused by various external factors, for example, the impact of the COVID-19, global economic slowdown, and geopolitical tension, all of which have export-oriented sectors such as industry and mining. The third variable is operating cash flow. According to Rachmawati and Pamuji, a healthy company should have a value above 1, but in this study, the value is still far below 1, meaning state-owned enterprise cannot fully cover short-term liabilities with operating cash alone. This is because companies like Waskita Karya, Adikarya, Wijaya Karya and PT-PP use a turnkey project system where payments are received only after the project is finished. The next part is the research problem formulation and research objective in this study. Now we move on to the theoretical framework. This research began with the basic concept of management, which is about organizing research effectively and efficiently to achieve a specific objective. In this context, financial management becomes a crucial component, as in aims to acquire, allocate, and utilize funds in effective and efficient manner. First, signaling theory. This theory is that the companies send signal to investor and creditor through financial information. From this story, two variables are derived. One, sales growth. When sales increase, it sends a positive signal that the company is financial healthy and has long-term potential. And financial distress, when the signal are negative, it warns that the company might be experiencing financial difficulty. Second, agency theory. This theory focuses on the relationship between the owners and the managers or agents. The managers are responsible for managing the company's research efficiently. From this theory, we have operating capacity measure using the total asset turnover ratio. It reflects how well managers use asset to generate sales. And operating cash flow managers are also responsible for maintaining healthy cash flow to meet short-term obligation. According to Rachmawati and Pamuji, a healthy operating cash flow ratio should be above 1. Now let's move on to the research paradigm and hypothesis formulation. This study proposed 4 hypotheses. Hypothesis 1, operating capacity significantly affect financial distress. Hypothesis 2, sales growth significantly affect financial distress. Hypothesis 3, operating cash flow significantly affect financial distress. Hypothesis 4, all three variable operating capacity, sales growth, and operating cash flow simultaneously influence financial distress. This hypothesis aim to test both the individual and combined effect of the independent variables on financial distress in state-owned enterprise listed on the IDX during 2019 to 2023. Next, in the research method, this study using a quantitative method with a descriptive and verification approach, meaning to examine the relationship between operating capacity, sales growth, and operating cash flow toward financial distress using financial report data. Next, we move on to the population and sample. The population in this study includes all state-owned enterprise listed on the Indonesian Stock Exchange during the 2019 to 2023 period. Therefore, the population in this research consists of 135 financial statements for the 27 state-owned enterprise. And as for the sample based on the result, it was found that 12 companies met the sample selection criteria. Next, the data collection technique used in this study are documentation and literature review. Next, the data testing technique used in this study is a classical assumption test, multiple correlation coefficient, multiple linear regression coefficient, and coefficient of determination. The hypothesis testing method used is t-test and f-test. Alright, that conclude my presentation. I hope my research can be useful, and please forgive me if there were any incorrect words. Thank you.
Thank you, Siti Nuparida Subarna, for the excellent presentation. So the title is The Influence of Operating Capacity, Sales Growth, and Operating Cash Flow on Financial Distress Rate. So we move to Q&A segment. So the question is the Altman Z-Corp appropriate for SOEs in Indonesia, considering that the model was originally developed abroad? Please answer the question.
Thank you for the question. This research applies the modified Altman Z-score, which has been adjusted to be more relevant for both public and non-public companies. The model has been widely used in various studies in Indonesia, including those focusing on state-owned enterprise, and therefore is considered sufficiently valid to measure financial distress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siti Nuparida Subarna, for such informative and comprehensive presentation and answer. So before we move to our four presenter, may I confirm is Nurul Ashil Permatahati is on standby today? So maybe we will let Nurul Bashir Permatahati start present their their research.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. It's a great honor to be here today and to have the opportunity to share my presentation with all of you. Introduce myself. My name is Nurul Bashir Matahati, and I'm here to present on the topic of growth strategy to improve competitive advantage of CV Alpha Multikreasi. I hope this presentation will provide values, insight, and spark meaningful discussion. So, without further ado, let's begin. Okay. Topic number one. Research background. In an increasingly competitive business world, every company needs to implement effective strategies to ensure the sustainability and growth of its business. Strategic management is a crucial aspect of overall company management, including planning, decision-making, and strategy implementation to achieve business goals. Through the proper implementation of strategic management, companies can increase competitiveness, optimize operations, and adapt to evolving management. Next, market dynamics. Okay, next. Topic number 2, company profile. The company launched 2 brands. Number 1, Zelia Official, launched in 2022 as a Muslim fashion brand with the slogan Zelia Just For You, offering 100% authentic local products from design to production, even featuring signature pieces using Caucasian models to demonstrate its global appeal. Meanwhile, SSA All Shop was launched in 2024, initially as the name of their first online store, now officially registered with the DJKI, Directorate General of Infrastructure Development, with the slogan Stay Stylish for All Layers, offering affordable product for all groups without sacrificing quality and customer satisfaction. Next. Topic number 3, research methodology, type of data, primary, direct observation, and interview. Number 2, secondary financial statements, operational document. Number 2, data collection, technique use, interview, observation. Observation, production location, and head office of Zelia Official and CC All Shop. Analyze, approach, data, and strategic model. Next. Internal environment analysis. Segmenting, targeting, and positioning. Segmenting, Zelia and CC All Shop target trendy, comfortable, and unique design-loving Muslim women. Targeting, Zelia and CC All Shop target modern Muslim women age who are active on social media and follow fashion trend. Positioningnya, Zelia and CC All Shop are modern Muslim fashion brands offering contemporary design, comfortable materials, and premium quality. Shopping is easy and style in maintenance. Okay. Marketing 7P product. The product provided by Zelia are quite diverse and made from high quality raw materials. This is one of the advantage of product manufactured by Zelia. Number 2, price. Pricing as Zelia determined by adjusting for the quality of raw materials and also based on the cost price of each product. Price will greatly. marketplace, Zelia sells its product exclusively through online stores such as Shopee and Tokopedia. Promotion, Zelia focus on strong digital promotion to reach the online market, leverage social media with engaging and interactive content, optimize SEO for easy discoverability, use paid advertising for specific targeting. People, the company recruits local talent to improve welfare and loyalty. Next, process. The process at Zelia is designed to make online shopping easier for customer, from clear product display and easy ordering to fast delivery and responsive customer service. Physical evidence, Zelia is an online store. Physical evidence remains important in the form of attractive website and social media visual. EVA's tabel strength. Next, weakness. EVA score demonstrate that the company is able to respond well to internal strategic factors and has positive development potential. Political and regulatory factors. Political and regulatory factors affect Zelia and CC Allshop through trade, tax, labor, brand protection, and sustainability regulation. Economic factors. Indonesian economic condition made by the decline in the Jakarta Composite Index and weakening rupiah. Social and cultural factors. The fast fashion trend has grown thanks to social media and influencer, but customers are now increasingly concerned about the environment. Next, technology factor. CV Alpha Multikreasi keeps track of its finance using Excel, while trend in e-commerce, social media, and AI help Zelia and CC also reach customer and target ads more accurately. Demographic factors. Zelia offers its product to female customers, including students, office workers, and housewives. Geographic factors. CV Alpha Multikreasi, the company behind Zelia and CC Allshop, operates in West Java. West Java region, specifically in Soreang, Bandung Regency. Additionally, Zelia and CC Allshop have expanded into the Jabodetabek region and beyond the island of Java. EVA's table opportunities. Traits. EVA score. This indicates that the company has a very good ability to respond to external factors, especially industry opportunities, but needs to be cautious about competitive threats and operating costs. Next, BCG metrics score. EVA's CV Alpha Multikreasi is ranked star with an EVA's and EVA's, indicating strong internal strength and significant external opportunities, resulting in strong growth prospect in the digital fashion market. Next, GA metrics. CV Alpha Multikreasi is in the middle attractiveness, middle business range quadrant, with very good industry attractiveness, but still developing internal strength, so it needs to strengthen in opportunity, excellence, and quality. Conclusion is TOWS, and strategic analysis indicate that the most sustainable strategy for CVL for Multicrecy is a growth approach through product innovation, expansion of sales channels, strengthening of local brands, market expansion, and enhancement of the digital customer experience. The strategic aim to boost competitiveness, broaden market reach, and build customer loyalty. CVLPA Multicrecy implements this strategy through digital marketing optimization, process improvement, operationally efficiency. Sorry. Oke, lanjutkan. Next. Okay. Okay, that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for the attention. I truly appreciate your time and interest in this topic. If you have any question or thoughts, I'd be more than happy to discuss them now. Once again, thank you. Bye-bye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Nurulba Ashira Permatahati, for the excellent presentation. We have now reached our Q&A discussion segment, but due to time constraints, we will move to next presenters. It will be Herdiani Nursuci Octaviani. The title is Designing Motion Graphic and Ebook to introduce the folktale Sikabayan Moro Uncal to children aged 8 to 12 years old in Bandung City. The floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Herdiani Nursuci Octaviani, and today I'm gonna present to you my personal project entitled Designing Motion Graphic and Ebook to introduce the folktale Sikabayan Moro Uncal to children aged 8 to 12 years old in Bandung City. So, first, why I make this project? With the rise of digital media, children's interest in Indonesian folktales, especially local one like Sikabayan Moro Uncal, is fading. Why this is happened? Traditional formats such as long text or oral storytelling no longer appeal to today's visually driven, digitally native children with shorter attention span. So how to solve this problem? To address this, I aim to reintroduce the story of Sikabayan through engaging media, motion graphic, and an illustrated ebook designed for children aged 8 to 12 years old in Bandung. This project combines education and entertainment to help children connect with and appreciate Indonesia's cultural heritage. Literature review. So in recent years, interest among Indonesian children, especially those in urban areas, toward traditional folk tales from West Java has significantly declined. A 2023 study revealed that only 41.7% of children in suburban West Java were familiar with traditional stories, and just 6 out of 50 students recognize the character of Sikabayan, one of the region's most iconic folklore figures. Further, report from Kumparan, Ayu Bandung, and Detik Jabar confirm that children today are more engaged with digital entertainment and global pop culture, which often overshadow local heritage. Traditional storytelling methods such as printed text and oral narratives struggle to compete with the fast-paced, visually rich digital content that children now consume daily. Priyanti et al. From Brawijaya University stated that using a visual communication approach to present historical stories, such as the tale of Ken Arok and Ken Dedes, combined with the interactive activity-based media, can increase children's interest and sense of connection to local history. This is made possible through the use of age-appropriate audiovisual design that capture their attention and support engagement. Nurul Hidayah and Edi Waluyo in 2019 used a graphic novel featuring the Punakawan character traditional wayang figure as a cultural education medium for early childhood. The results show a 28% increase in children's knowledge of cultural heritage after engaging with the graphic novel. I use a descriptive qualitative method to explore audience perception of visual media and cultural narrative. Given that the outcome is visual product, motion graphic, and ebook, a practice-based research approach is applied, where the research and design process occurs simultaneously. Primary data was gathered through direct observation, while the secondary data came from literature, media, print and electronic, official document, and credible online sources. Result and discussion. So the resulting design is motion graphic and illustrated ebook that introduced the folktale Si Kabayan Meruncal to children aged 8 to 12 years old in Bandung. The use of colorful visual and culturally rooted character design successfully engage young audience, making traditional stories more accessible and appealing in modern format. This is the character design. There is Si Kabayan, and then Mitoha or Kabayan father-in-law, and then Kokawat Lembur or village chief and villager. Each character reflects local Sundanese culture through traditional attire like headcrafts and sarung. Natural tone, child-friendly proportion, and simple facial feature are used to appeal to elementary students. The cheerful, expressive style build emotional connection and help children engage with the story. And then there is 3 stage when I make this project. The first stage is pre-production. In pre-production stage, I'm gathered a variety of visual reference, including character concept, child-friendly illustration style, as well as cultural elements and setting from the Sundanese region. And after that, I made sketches for the story. This reference served as the basis for creating initial sketches of both characters and environment, with special attention to visual appeal, suitability for young audience, and relevance to the cultural context. The A is visual reference, and the B is the sketch. And then the second stage is production stage. The chosen sketches are changed to transform it into digital illustration I made with Photoshop. The process involves applying an earth tone color scheme to the character, settings, and supporting elements, along with incorporating traditional Sundanese attire, accessories, and expressive facial details to highlight each character's traits and ensure clarity for young audience. Once illustrated, the visual are animated into a motion graphic to bring the story to life in a dynamic and engaging format. I also put voiceover on it, and I made the motion graphic with CapCut. And then the third stage is post-production. The final illustration are reviewed and refined to maintain visual consistency and clarity within the ebook. The motion graphic is also evaluated to ensure alignment between the voiceover narration and the visual elements. Additionally, the assets are applied in mock-up formats such as layout preview or sample page to assess their effectiveness and readability. This is the final result. The left is ebook and the right is motion graphic. This is the motion graphic. You can check it. For the conclusion, this project successfully designed an educational medium in the form of an interactive motion graphic and illustrated ebook to introduce the folk tale Sikabayan Moro Uncal to children aged 8 to 12 years old in Bandung. By using child-friendly visual, incorporating local cultural elements, and utilizing interactive digital media, the work not only reintroduces a fading traditional story, but also promotes cultural preservation through visual communication design that resonates with today's younger generation. This is the reference, and that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Herdiani Nursuci Octaviani, for such informative and comprehensive presentation. So now we are moved to our Q&A session. So the question is, there are many folktales from West Java. Why did you choose the story Sikabayan Moro Uncal to be visualized into a motion graphic? Please answer the question. Hello, is Herdiani Nursuci Octaviani is on standby? Hello? I'm not hear your voice.
Story of Sikabayan Moro Uncal is also quite popular among the community. This decision is also supported by research. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. That's a very excellent presentation and answer. So next, the last but not least is Permana Sidik from Informatika Unibi. Is same department as me. So the title is Web-based Visual Store Point of Sale Information System Case Study, Niaga Karya Kreatif. So the floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Permana Sidik from the Information System Study Program, Faculty of Technology and Informatik, Universitas Informatika dan Bisnis Indonesia. I will present the result of my research at PT Niaga Karya Kreatif, web-based fiscal store, point of sales information system, case study PT Niaga Karya Kreatif, specifically at the fiscal official store. Of course, this research has a background, namely in this era of Industry 4.0, efficient transaction management is crucial for business continuity. As a retail company, fiscal store still faces challenges in managing sales data, stock availability, and reporting. Manual processes are time-consuming and often lead to errors. Therefore, a web-based information system is needed to expedite transaction and support decision-making. Initially, fiscal store operation, particularly sales transaction data recording, were still conducted manually using physical receipt. This manual receipt system is prone to data inaccuracy, both in sales recording and in the store inventory management. Based on the background that has been explained, the research has formulated the problems, including first, how to design a point of sale information system that can assist in managing product, transaction, and stock adjustment. Two, how to provide integrated reporting system to support business analysis. Three, how to implement the system, improve the efficiency of store operation. The objective of this research are first, to design and develop a web-based point of sale system for fiscal store to facilitate stock and transaction management with more accuracy. And third, to provide detailed report for supporting managerial decision making. This research benefit provide both theoretical dan practical benefit. Theoretical contributes to the study of information system, especially in the implementation of POS technology in retail. Practical help fiscal store improve transaction efficiency, minimize errors, and provide more reliable reports. Scope and limitation. This research focus on use, role, admin and staff, feature, product management, stock adjustment, purchase, sales, return purchase, sales return, and reporting. And the system does not cover online payment integration or mobile application development. Research methodology use the software development life cycle with the waterfall model, which consists of requirement analysis, system design, implementation, testing, deployment. Result and execution. In this point of sales information system, there are two access rules. Admin and staff have different level to access. The admin has full access while staff has limited access, such as admin have product management, stock adjustment, purchase, and sales management, post-transaction, reporting, customer and supplier management, system setting. Staff, product management, stock adjustment, purchase and sales management, and post-transaction. In dashboard display information that can be analyzed, such as total revenue, total sales return, total purchase return, and net profit. It also features a bar chart to view purchase and sales over the last 7 days, a pie chart to view revenue, purchase, inventory, procurement, and net profit a monthly basis, a line to chart to track financial flow per month. We go item module. In item module, have item category, and then list item, and then barcode item. In list item, there are product list display information such as product image, category, code product, name, cost price, selling price, and quantity, and then include action of edit, view product details, and delete product. In module stock adjustment, allow recording of stock adjustment such as adding or reducing stock. In module purchase, staff can submit purchase requests, and the admin can change the purchase status and forward it to suppliers by sending the purchase delivery not submitted by staff. The admin downloads and sends the note via email to supplier, and supplier will prepare the goods, deliver them to physical store, and staff will conduct QC. Once all items are received, store staff will change the purchase status to complete, and stock automatically increase. In the purchase return module, staff can submit return requests. The rules are similar to purchase, except that when a purchase item is rejected or damaged upon receipt, staff can submit a return as proof. The purchase return delivery note will be sent to the supplier by admin via email. The POS system, a module can be used admin or staff. They can input item purchased by customer by searching for item based on code or name. Then select customer, select product, and then process to transaction, and then choose the payment method, submit. Right? After completing a sales transaction, the system will redirect to the sales menu. Admin or staff can print a purchase receipt for the customer as proof of purchase. We can go to sales return. The sales return module is only used for certain item or product, specifically those that are collaboration product with Fishfile. Therefore, not all product can be returned. In the detail report module, admin can view report based on the desired period. Right? Based on the design and implementation of the FishPulsar web-based point of sales information system, it can be concluded that first, the system is successfully facilitating faster and more efficient sales, inventory management, and reporting process compared to previous method. Two, features such as inventory management, transaction recording, and sales reports can be easily accessed through to web interface. Third, the system minimizes recording errors and improve data accuracy, thus facilitating decision making. In conclusion, I hope that the information I have shared can provide new insight for all of us. That's all, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much, Permana Sidik. That was very in-depth, very comprehensive presentation. Now, as we move to next session, is Q&A. So the question is, why doesn't the system support real-time payments? Please answer the question.
Right, thank you. This is system focused on managing sales, stocks, purchase, returns, and reports for payment. The system only records the transaction, not process only online payment. This is due to time limitation and the research scope. However, the system can be integrated with a payment gateway such as Midtrans in future development stage. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Permana Sidik, for both presentation and your insightful answer. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we close today's session, we would like to have a group photo together. May I kindly request all participants to please turn on your cameras. So this is important things for the conference international conference. Please stay on screen and give us your best smile. As the operator will capture the photo shortly, we will take few photos to make sure everyone includes. So everyone is ready? All right. Let's get ready for the photo. I will count to 3 and please give us your best smile. Okay? 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. On behalf of our organizing committee, I would like to thank all the speakers and the participants for your valuable contribution for today's session. We look forward to your active participation in the upcoming session. Thank you and enjoy the rest of conference. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.